All right, welcome back. Today we are breaking down Steve Avila, the left guard, rookie left guard out of TCU. This guy has shown a lot of promise so far through training camp in the preseason for the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Rams may have stumbled upon potentially a really nice player here. He's got some things definitely to clean up, but if you look at his film, and we got a great cut up of his film, his performance against the Las Vegas Raiders a couple days ago in the preseason, highlighting what he can bring to this Rams offense. I think generally it's a lot of good stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, here we've got the Rams in a long yardage situation. It's a second and 15, excuse me. The Rams are just trying to get to a third manageable. And you can see Avila right here at left guard. The Rams are going to run a long trap here to this defensive end. So basically, they're going to have number 87 work up to the play side linebacker. They're going to have the right guard and right tackle double team. This is what I call a 2-eye technique. He's 2 inside eye right here, so I call it a 2-eye. A double team here up to the backside linebacker. You're going to have Avila here, the left guard pull, kick out the defensive end. You're going to have the center block back the left tackle, take 1 foot inside to secure the B gap and what I call an anchor down technique, and then work back out to make sure that defensive end doesn't interrupt the play. Let's take a look at how this goes down. So right here, Avila, this is what I really like here. So you see this defensive end. I'm going to back this up here just a little bit. He squeezes that tight end and kind of works flat down the line of scrimmage. He doesn't go up the field at all. That means the pulling guard here has to work upfield to make sure he gets his head up the field of him. Because if he goes too flat here, this defensive end could do what's called a spill technique and essentially blow up the trap right here in this gap and make it a dead play. The rookie does a smart move, gets upfield, gets his head on the right side, opens up a really nice seal here. They get a guy on the double team. They don't get up to the backer, but it still ends up being a nice run, about 8 or 9 yards. Great finish by the running back. But again, great job by Avila working upfield there. You see that? See how he was working flat and then stepped upfield? Great job to make sure he gets upfield to give that seal they need to execute this long trap.
Yeah, Nick, I think one really thing, first of all, I love to see a big man get moving. It's probably one of the most exciting plays in football for a guard to pull around the corner, be able to go get somebody like that. But I like to see you talk about this a lot. Avila's awareness, his ability to use his eyes, read the play. I think this just shows he's a really, really savvy player, don't you think?
Yeah, and it's one of those things because right here, right, you have to be able to go one of 3 things. If this defensive end just kind of works a little bit up the field and sits, you got to stay flat and kick him out. If he goes really up the field here, like it's second and long, right? He could be trying to think it's a passing situation going after the quarterback. He could potentially have worked around the 87, the tight end, and really been trying to blow up this play at the mesh point. If that happens, you got to quickly work back, get some depth, and make sure you kick him out back here. Or he can do like the defensive end did here and work flat down the line of scrimmage. In that case, you've got to get upfield. And that's exactly what Avila did here. This is great recognition, great awareness. Sometimes it's not enough to have really good technique. You also have to execute in the moment. It's one thing to know who you're going to and how you have to execute the block when you get there, but you also have to react to what the defense does. And Avila does a great job of doing that here. All right, next up, we got a passing situation. Obviously, we got an empty set here with Stetson Bennett with no one behind him, no one around him in terms of a running back, no tight ends right now in the game at the line of scrimmage. So the offensive linemen are on an island. It's 4-on-5 right here. And this is probably my favorite play aesthetically that Avila did the whole time against the Las Vegas Raiders, because this just shows his energy, his toughness, and again, his situational awareness. Let's go right into it. So again, he's blocking this guy one-on-one. He works over to the center. Look at this. Buries that defensive end, knocks him completely out of the picture. There's a saying among offensive linemen, don't guard grass. Your defensive lineman works away from you, the center takes him over. Go find someone to bury into the ground. Set an attitude. That's what you want, right? Because you get an opportunity here. You don't get a lot of these. Take advantage of it and punish this defensive end. And then stare him down. Let him know. That's really good stuff. That's what I like to see from a young guy, having that attitude, having that little bit of swagger. That brings a lot of energy to an offense, and that gets an offensive lineman excited right there.
Yeah, Nick, I love that adage you bring up. Don't guard grass. Reminds me of Vila, hardworking guy, lunch pail kind of guy. He's going to work on this play. He's going to go get 99 Willis. He's going to put him into the dirt. And like we talk about this all the time, and you can attest to this, when you do the extra effort, when you hit somebody like that, it is going to have them thinking about you for the rest of the game. I think this is just like you said, a little thing that Avila does that really pays dividends down the line, when you say.
Oh, 100%. Because you better believe opposing defenses and defensive linemen, when they watch film of the Rams as they get ready to play the Rams, they're going to be like, hey, listen, if you're defensive end here on this side, the defensive right, the offensive left, you got to keep your head on a swivel because otherwise 73 will knock your block off. Well, if your head's on a swivel, you're not getting after the quarterback, at least not nearly with the same amount of reckless abandon. Those are the kind of things that can happen with those kind of blocks. That's a great job by a rookie right there. All right, we're going the other way now. So there you go. You see Avila right there, still at left guard, of course, but he's coming right at us. And we've been singing his praises the first few plays. Here's an example of something that cannot happen. So you've got a double team here between the left guard and left tackle, working up to the linebacker. And this has got to be a situation. Both guys get hip to hip, get some movement, get this guy buried out of the hole or at least completely covered up and get a guy on the linebacker. But watch what happens here. Right here, right there. That's not terrible. There's a chance that could be good, but right there, that can't happen. That's Avila right there. He is completely separated off that defensive lineman. That has created him. This defensive lineman is now right in the middle of the hole. This tackle then can't come off. This play doesn't have much of a chance. The linebacker basically makes the play, limited gain. That can't happen. You cannot lose your hip on that double team. And that's something he's going to learn, and that's something he's going to have to learn. Obviously, he played in spread offense at TCU in college, so putting his hand in the dirt and doing those kind of blocks are relatively new to him. But I guarantee you that's one of the things that McVay and the offensive coaching staff are really going to be on him about. He really needs to clean this up. This is a block that needs to be just a really secure. That has to be covered up here, letting this tackle get up to the linebacker. That situation right there creates all kind of problems for game plans. If you can't block that, there's a lot of things in your offense that goes out the window. I guarantee you that's something he's going to have to clean up if he wants to be a much better player.
Yeah, Nick, and right here, it's not fair because this is Georgia against TCU. Again, we have John Jenkins from Georgia going against Avila from TCU. So, but I think for a lot of people, this is going to be a learning experience. And if you're a young offensive lineman, what is the preseason for if not to learn how to not do that? Again, it's going to be a reminder, like you said, all offensive line coaches, they're dogs. They're going to get into him about this. But I think this is a great learning experience, and this is going to teach him going forward, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. And look, this happens to every guard, right? There's not a guard alive, high school, college, or pro that doesn't have this happen to them at some point. So I'm not saying this is the end of his career by any means, but this is something he's going to have to make sure it happens almost never. Because if you can't get a double team out here, it really will limit what you can do in the running game, and that'll limit what you can do in the play action game, and it just snowballs from there, right? You're in a lot of second and long situations. The defense can play the run without, with going a light box, and that makes it harder to throw. All that kind of stuff creeps into the fold. Getting this right, and again, it's almost a good thing, kind of like you said, that he had struggles on this play with that double team. You'd rather have the mistake now, get it corrected, get it figured out before the games and the reps actually matter come regular season time. All right, so the play before, we talked about a job he didn't do so well, but here's an example of a play he was absolutely outstanding on. So this is an example of what I call a tight and wide scoop from the backside guard and tackle here. The run action is going to be going that way. So these two guys here, the guard and the tackle, are trying to get this three technique cut off and work up to the linebacker here. And how you have to do that is really hard from a guard's perspective, because you would like to, right, if you're trying to cut off that linebacker, to work really, really flat to make sure you get him cut off. But that puts your tackle in a bad position. If you work flat this way, this defensive lineman will probably follow you into the gap. The tackle won't get there, and this defensive lineman could potentially blow up the play in the backfield. That's why you have to use what I call, and it's my vernacular, the Rams may have a different way to call it, a tight scoop technique. That works very vertical from the guard position, cut through the inside hip of the defensive lineman, give the time for the tackle to cut him off, and then get a hand on this linebacker, get a good body on him, and see if you can hold him up. Look how he does this. This is absolutely outstanding. Work through. Perfect. They cut off the defensive lineman. He's on the linebacker. No chance to cut this off. Really nice running play. This is a phenomenal job. The previous play wasn't his best rep. This is a great rep. That wins you a lot of games. Again, right here, he works through his inside hip. He doesn't go too wide. He goes north and south, gets off, and then shocks the linebacker, doesn't hold him, does everything. He makes sure the linebacker won't be involved in the play, doesn't even come close. Really nice rep here. Great job.
Yeah, Nick, I think we're already seeing the growth of Avila as a player. Last double team, not so hot. This double team, he's able to go ahead, get that little chip in there, work off to the linebacker. I think this guy's already learning. He's put the pass behind him, and I think that's something important as a young player. If you make a mistake, you have to go out and put your best foot forward no matter what happens. And so it shows he can start with a clean slate, come out, and play good football. Again, he's not going to let it get to him too much. So I think this is really great going forward. What do you think about that, Nick?
Yeah, and, we all have strengths and weaknesses, right? All these players do, right? In terms of he just may be really good at this tight scoop technique and not so good at the double team. And I guarantee you, come regular season time, McVay and everyone in their game planning are going to recognize that, right? And again, this is just one rep, just like the poor double team was just one rep. But again, if he can be really good on tight scoops in this kind of situations, the Rams are going to take advantage of that and run a lot of zone to the other side. And they may be perfectly okay with that as well. But the fact that he can do such a good job on that play is a great sign for the Rams. All right, we're going to go for another double team here, but this just shows his gamemanship, his ability to recognize defenses and understand everything that's happening. So you notice we've got a double team situation here, just like before. You've got the guard and the tackle. You got Avila double teaming this guy, working up to the linebacker. But Mize, look at the depth of these linebackers. Look how close they are to the line of scrimmage. This is a situation where you have to be alert for 59, the linebacker you're doubling to, filling this gap right here, and you coming off quickly and making sure you get a body on a body. And that's exactly what he does. Let's watch how this shakes out. So again, he steps in, double team. This guy fills immediately, which he should, right? You see the center go that way, guard go that way. Big hole here. Linebackers are taught to fill. He fills, but Avila comes off, bodies him up. Again, not the prettiest block in the world, but gets it done, right? Because now you've got a great seal here between the guard and the tackle, right? You got the defensive tackle, the three technique buried inside. You got the linebacker cut off. This is a chance to be a really good play, right? You've got the outside receiver and the second tight end. They've got these two guys. Everything looks really good. The only downside is number 87 here gets absolutely obliterated. It happens. Ugh, that stinks. It's not pretty. And he knows it. Watch when he gets up. He's 87. He's not too happy about that one. It happens to the best of us. But again, what Avila did here, it gave him a chance. If this guy doesn't get obliterated, they have these two guys cut off, and this, and then 87 again doesn't get obliterated, so 99 is not there. This running back's running right here. It's one-on-one between the running back and the free safety in the middle of the field with nothing but green grass for it being a 20-yard run versus a touchdown. And that's because of him recognizing this and coming off. This is a really nice job by the young guard, recognizing the situation, the defense, and making a play.
Yeah, Nick, and I think, like you said, great job by him picking up that linebacker. Shows he's playing really great football, but this shows things are cyclical. As we go back to a few plays earlier where Avila's driving 99 into the dirt, I think 99 took that a little bit personally. He goes after the tight end here, but once again, this shows nothing on Avila. He's doing his job perfectly here. I think we get, some of the starters in on this play. That's another thing we have to realize. This is the preseason, so everything's not going to run as smooth as it possibly could. But I think we just got to focus. This was a really great play by Avila, and I just show, like you said, he's a really savvy player, and I think this is going to go a lot further for him in his career, just being able to do these techniques that he does well every single time, don't you think?
Yeah, and again, just recognizing the defense, because I guarantee you, nothing will irritate Sean McVay and really the running back more, right, than him not seeing this and it being a 3-yard loss. Because even though this tight end got blown up, at least it's like not a total loss. They got like a yard, I think, out of it. If he doesn't recognize this here, it's about a 3-yard loss and that running back gets killed, right? If he's not there, that running back is tackled right there for a 4-yard loss. There's a big difference between 2nd and 8 and 2nd and 14, obviously. So again, that part right there, just on his own right, saves sort of the sequence of downs for the Los Angeles Rams, and you better believe Sean McVay and company really appreciate that. All right, flipping it around, going the other way now, and we just talked about giving your running back a chance, and that's exactly what we're going to get out of Avila here. Again, this is far from a perfect rep. You're not going to make Pro Bowl based on what he does here, but again, the situation, you got, again, a zone run scheme to the right here. Avila's got to work through this action to try and cut off the backside linebacker. These two here are zoning for these two guys. The right tackle is zoning for him, most likely, depending on how this defensive lineman reacts, but most likely the right tackle will get him. Avila's got to work up and try and cut this guy off. The left tackle is trying to cut off that 3 technique. And you're going to see what happens here. Again, we talked about the tight scoop. He has to keep this tight to work through that hip. Watch what happens, though. Again, he does a good tight scoop, but look at this linebacker. He's flying. And again, the defensive alignment does this, right? They've got a 3 technique here and basically a 2-eye here. So he's a little wider. That forces the center to go really wide. Look what happens. This is a really wide gap here. So this linebacker sees that and says, hey, I'm going to shoot this and blow this up for a 4-yard loss. But again, look at the savvy of the young rookie. recognizing it, just get off and get a hand on him, just a hand. It turns again a 4-yard loss to ends up being about a gain of a half yard. Again, there's a big difference between 2nd and 9 and 2nd and 14. And it's just that effort right there. Again, doesn't look like much. You won't make Pro Bowl off that rep. Good technique, comes off and just gives your running back a chance. That's really good stuff. Again, it won't jump out to a lot of people, won't make your highlight film, but I guarantee you the coaches, the players, the scheme, all of that, that is huge for them and a really nice job here by the young left guard.
Yeah, Nick, one thing I noticed so far through all these clips is Avila's ability to recognize plays. Once he gets in that film room, this guy is going to be a monster on the field because the ability to just know what's going on, that seems like it's got to be half the battle, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, especially for young offensive linemen, because it's like a young quarterback. We always talk about young quarterbacks recognizing defenses and getting used to NFL speed and all that. It's the same thing for young offensive linemen as well. Understanding how defensive linemen perform games and stunts, how linebackers react at this level, what defensive coordinators like to do in certain situations. That's a big part of what offensive line play is about. And again, recognizing what's going on and reacting. It's not just enough to recognize it. It's the fact that he's able to react quickly. Because I see a lot of film of young guys. They may recognize that, but by the time they react, it's too late. They're standing over here looking at their running back getting killed. He at least recognizes it and reacts just enough to get a piece of him. You give him a few more weeks or a few more months or, however long it takes, he may be able to recognize that fast enough and flatten out his reaction and give his guy a real good chance here. And it could be a really good play. That's a really good job, just recognizing and react. That's what he does really well, and he looks to be a special player because of it.